Here is the tale of a professor whose passion was pizza. For years, the pizza professor had one goal and one goal only. He wanted pizza. But not just one pizza. He wanted a world full of pizza. He would mix chemicals and concoctions, all in an effort to make, yes, more pizza. But no matter how hard he tried, he always seemed to fail. He just could not create enough pizza. Alas, he had nearly given up until...
What's got you down, pizza professor? More pizza? That's easy. Come with me. Oh, hey guys, I'm Allie. Do you want to know how to get more pizza too? Follow me. This is Domino's. Do you guys like pizza? How about free pizza? Awesome. Well, I'm going to tell you how you can get free pizza and help out your school. Sound good? Fabulous. Follow me, Professor. I'll show you how we can help you get more pizza. Look at all those pizzas. Don't you just want to scarf them down? I have a way for everyone to get delicious pizza for free. You're probably thinking, what's that all about? Well, it's the Slice the Price card. That's right, the Slice the Price card. With this card, every time you purchase a large pizza at Domino's, you're going to get another large pizza for free. Guess what? The card is only $10. If you use it just once, it more than pays for itself. However, you can use it over and over and over again until it expires. And it even works for parties. Say you have your friends over and you buy 10 large pizzas. You'll get 10 more large pizzas for free. All right, guys, this is how it works. You're going to go home today rocking the Domino's order form in your bag. This thing is golden. When you get home, you need to find an adult to help you out. Together, you're going to share your order form with family members, friends, neighbors, their co-workers, basically anyone who loves pizza. Pizza Professor, you want to know how you're going to get more pizza? If you sell 12 or more of these cards, you'll get your very own card for free. Did you catch that, guys? If you sell 12 or more of these cards, you're going to get your very own card for free. You want to know how we're going to help the teachers? That's easy. Tell them how it's done, big boys.
Teachers, if you have 5 students in your class who sell just 1 card each, you'll get your very own card for free. So be sure to remind your students every day to get out there and spread the tasty word about the Slice the Price card so you can get a free card too.
I'm back. Let's talk safety. Earlier today, I went around your school hanging up these posters. Check them out while you're walking through the halls. They have some very important safety tips on them, like 1, never go door to door. 2, always phone raised with an adult. 3, never go into a stranger's home. Remember these tips, they are super important and they will keep you safe. All right, guys, let's wrap this up with the best part of the fundraiser, the prizes! Woo! Yeah! Tell them how it's done, big boys.
Thanks, Al. Here's the deal. When you get your order form, on top will be the Pizza Professor prize brochure. Even if you sell just 1 card, you'll get a prize. But you're gonna want to sell more, lots more. Because these prizes are amazing. Every single one of you has the opportunity to win a T-Rex costume, a karaoke machine, a Nintendo Switch Lite, an Oculus Quest! Don't like those prizes? Do not worry, because we have a prize that everyone likes. Cash money! That's right, every single one of you has an opportunity to get $150, $250, even $400 cash money! Woo! Teachers, let's get this party started. It's time to pass out the order forms. And don't forget the stickers. Make sure they go on the students' shirts and not their hands.
Teachers, you rule. Thank you so much for all your help. We couldn't do any of this without you. And remember, if 5 students participate, you're going to get your very own card for free.
Oh everyone, from Allie, the pizza professor, and me, Big Voice. Thanks for getting involved, Domino style. Now let's get out there and start fundraising. This has been a production of WPZA, your Pizza Party Network. Pizza out!
Morning, students. We're back. Your support team is here with you to provide SEL Session 2. But before we get into Session 2, let's do a little recap of Session 1, which was digital etiquette, as we all now know is known as netiquette. What are some of the things we wanted you to take from that video? Well, the first thing is we want you to remember to remain in an environment that is conducive to learning. Make sure that you are in an area that is away from all distractions so that you can focus on what the teacher is delivering. Secondly, we want to make sure that you all are keeping your cameras on. That is important. Your teachers need to see you and know that you are there. And remember what we said, it is coming from the district. It's not coming from the teacher. Also, that you are remaining respectful, responsible, and safe in those chats. You want to make appropriate comments and stick to the topic. Not doing the flaming, not being trolls, and creating those flame wars. Those things are unnecessary for your chat. Shouldn't be doing it on social media either, but we're not trying to control your social media. But we definitely want to keep the chat under control.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our recap. What we're talking about today is what we talked about last week, digital etiquette, or what we would call netiquette. Now, I had an opportunity to just speak about the acronym THINK. And we asked ourselves, what does that word think mean? Well, it means think before we post. Not think before we act, but when we post, we're actually acting on something. We're acting on our emotions, and we're acting sometimes upon feelings that we want other people to feel. When was the last time that you posted something that was just so shocking that everybody had to know about it? Well, that's that thing that we want you to think about. Is it encouraging? Is it helpful? Now, I'll go over the THINK acronym. The word T stands for before you post, think. The T is it true? When we are looking at the word truth, we know that it is something that is universal, something that is always and forever true and cannot be a lie. So when you post something, is it true about you? Is it true about the other person? Is it true about the topic that you're discussing? Consider truth in every aspect of your post, or else it could be something that you may not want to post, because anything that's untrue is a lie. H stands for helpful. Is what you plan on posting helpful? Is it something that's going to help the earth become a better place? Is it something that's going to help you? Is it something that can be helpful to the students and your fellow friends around you? Is it something that's going to be helpful to your teachers, your parents? Is it helpful? The I stands for inspiring. We all need inspiration. I sometimes need inspiration just to get up in the morning. I need inspiration just to sometimes work out or drink a little bit more water. So I sure enough need inspiration to, read somebody's post and be okay with it. So ask yourself this question. Before you post that post, is it inspiring? Is it motivating somebody to do something? Is it motivating you to accomplish something that you've never been able to accomplish? We can inspire with our words. We have so many influencers out there in the world today, and you can be that influencer who leads the world. Well, the N stands for necessary. Is what you plan on posting necessary? Is it something that needs to be stated or shared? Is it something that you can kind of keep to yourself? I want you to think about that when you are posting. What is the necessity? What is the need for what you plan on posting? This is a big deal because there have been a lot of issues and stemming around inappropriate posts and spam and all kinds of things, and you don't want to get blocked. and this is so important, because when you post unnecessary things, sometimes it could even involve you being blocked, or maybe even put out of a social media thing or a platform or a group chat or a room. People don't want that. They need you to post things that are necessary. And lastly, the K stands for kind. Hey, is it kind? Is it something that comes off as helpful, friendly? If it's not kind, then you need to rewind. You need to really look at that thing and just really ask yourself, what's happening with me? And ask yourself, am I having a bad day before I post this? Is this something that's going to come off as rude or pushy or sedity, as we call it, like really sassy? No, but people don't like that all the time. Sometimes they like some kind words and things like that. So I just want to let you know, digital etiquette is important. It's not, digital world is not for you trying to get at people. It's more so for you to get ahead. All right? So I just want to encourage you guys to think before you post.
Now we're ready for session 2. Bonjour, beautiful Bulldogs. We're back. Your support team is here, ready to provide SEL Session 3. But before we get into Session 3, we have to do a recap of Session 2. Exactly what we wanted you to take from that video. Do you know how to be smart? Do you remember what it means to be smart? Well, remember, during these challenging times with all of this work overload, we wanted you to remember setting goals is critical to your success. And so what type of goals should you set? Right, SMART goals. We want to make sure that you are aware that your goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Again, those SMART goals will help you to be successful during these times of feeling overwhelmed with your work. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Then once you set your SMART goals, then it's important to manage your time. That time management piece gets you over the hump of your success.
Greetings, students. This is Mr. Cunningham with your recap. Last time that we met, we talked about time management and how important it is to manage your time. When it comes to time management, be sure to set goals and manage your time effectively. How do you manage your time effectively? Well, you actually find out, what does your schedule look like? Begin to chart out or write down in your calendar or in your schedule book when you plan on doing certain things. Also, you can assess your to-do list or your list of things to do. If you're like me, you may even have a list that says things to do, and every day you can check off what you've completed. The next thing you want to do is remain focused on your goal. What is your plan for time management? Begin to do that, and then remember to take a small break so that you can have time to reflect, and then also look at your time management to find out if it is going effectively and smoothly.
Bonjour, beautiful Bulldogs. We're back, ready for our next SEL lesson. But first, you know what we do, our recap. So Mr. Bradley is going to start us off with our recap of last week's session, substance abuse, and then Mr. Cunningham is going to present his recap as well.
Bonjour, beautiful Bulldogs. Okay, I hate when she does that. All right, look guys, Red Ribbon Week, awesome week. Again, we got through the election this past week, but last week we got through Red Ribbon Week, which was really, really great and exciting. Hopefully you got a lot of great information from what we presented, as well as our guests. I am so sorry, 8th grade, that you were not able to sit up there and actually participate just due to the weather and the issues that we ended up having to deal with. But we will make sure and get that presentation out to you hopefully soon. Okay, so when we're talking about last week, and we're talking about kind of some of the things that we want to make sure we emphasize and hopefully you, again, think about when we're talking about Red Ribbon Week and drugs and everything else, right? We want to talk about the things that are important to us. We want to talk about the 4 things, and I want to recap the 4 things that I talked about. First, and again, in no particular order, but I put them in this order just because, you know, it kind of works for me, of school, right? So we want to talk about school first in the sense of we want to make sure school is safe. And the way we make sure school is safe and you're safe is by you making those great choices, okay? So when we're talking about those things, we're not talking about the choices when someone is right there, when someone's telling you, hey, don't do this or don't do that. That's the time we want you to follow those instructions and yes, of course, listen, right? But we want you to make those choices when there's no one else around. That's how we know we're making those really good decisions.
And that speaks to your character. Absolutely.
So when we talk about those things, Ms. White threw me almost right there. She just jumped in. Booyah, I wasn't ready. But now I came back. All right, when we talk about those things, we're talking about, again, you making sure you're making those great decisions and then you making sure your peers are making those great decisions as well, okay? Because it goes hand in hand. You yourself, first and foremost, but then we also want to look out for our peers and make sure everyone is feeling safe. When we're talking about our peers, we're talking about, obviously, you can't make your peers do anything, right? But you can definitely do one or two different things. You can model. That means you can show them through your actions and how you're doing and how you're handling your actions, right? You can make great decisions in regards to those type of things, right? But you can also advise. You can also, again, sometimes people need reminders. Sometimes people need suggestions to sit up there and say, hey, man, let's think about this. Hey, let's sit up there and look at this. You can put out there and say, hey, think about some of the things you want to do, or think about how this could impact your future, because they might not be thinking about those things. So you can help your peers in that sense. Again, we know you can't make them. You know you can't sit up there and do it for them, but you can definitely sit up there and encourage and model great behaviors and great choices. The third thing I wanted to sit up there and recap is family. I always sit up there and say family's number 3 on my list right now, but it's number 1 for me. So when I'm talking about thinking about things about in regards to my family, is me making those great decisions for them, knowing that, again, I can impact how a generation can actually be. So sometimes as a teenager, you don't think about how you can truly impact folks. Your parents, guardians, the ones who love you, are expecting you to make great choices for your future because they want you to have a future. So when we think about our family, and I know people say all the time, oh, if someone says or does something to my family, right? I want you to think about that in regards to you could possibly do something to your family by making a bad choice. You can cost your family money. You can cost your family heartache. You can cost your family disappointment by making a bad choice. So we got to think about those things before we do them, not after the fact and wish we didn't make that bad choice. Okay? So that's all within your will. So that's what I want you to make sure you think about. And the last thing I want you to think about is the legal aspect of it. Okay? Now, sometimes people get hung up on this legal aspect and they say, Mr. Bradley, it's legal in certain states. You're absolutely right. It is legal in certain states in the United States. But here's the point that I want you guys to get and I want you to understand. It is never legal for minors. Never. There is no law in the state of in the country of the United States of America that is legal for a minor to take part in using drugs. None. So with that being said, then we say the legal kind of has to sit up here and take care of itself in that sense of you shouldn't be doing drugs, right? And there's a lot of different reasons why we talk about it. The one thing I did want to sit up here and bring back up is, remember when we talked about the brain, and this was during in 8th grade, you didn't get this, so I wanted to sit up here and recap this. When we're talking about brain and your brain developing, your brain doesn't fully develop until your age 25. So that means we're talking about 11, so we got 14 to 10 years, 10 to 14 years that we have to develop your brain and make good decisions so your brain is not behind, right? So when we're saying that can impact things. So you have to understand that. Now, from a legal aspect of it, we don't want to get locked up, right? You don't want to have a record. I tell people all the time, in 8th graders, we're going to talk about this once we come back in the building. Probation and parole are almost worse than sitting up there initially going to jail, because those are things that send people back to jail for littlest and smallest things, right? And I want you to know so you don't sit up there and again end up being in that situation. So legal can impact a lot of different levels. It can impact school, safe schools. It can impact, again, you and your own personal safety, and it also can impact your family. So it touches all the realms of, it's not just you who gets impacted by something legal that ends up happening. Hopefully you understand it. Hopefully you get it. If you don't, make sure you sit up there and reach out to us. We can have a discussion. We can have a talk. I can, again, continue to walk things out for you. We can sit up there and, again, hopefully get you on the right track to where you at least know to make that great decision.
Thanks, Mr. Bradley, for that wonderful recap. Thank you for coming on and hanging out with us during the live lit lesson after we had great discussion. And now Mr. Cunningham is going to provide his recap.
Greetings, CMS Bulldogs. We are doing a recap of our last session, and what I wanted just to share is the idea and maybe even the fact that you can be drug-free. One of the great ways to do that is by steering away from peer pressure. Peer pressure is what we sometimes need to steer clear from, especially if it has negative connotations. If you have a friend or a group of friends who are trying to get you to do something, as Mr. Bradley said, that is illegal, we want to make sure that we develop the right friendships, because we know that anything that is healthy grows. So are your friendships healthy? Are they growing you academically? Are they growing you from a side where you feel like you are getting the physical activity you need without having to have a lot of alternative ways, such as relaxation through drugs or anything like that? We have to know that drugs can really harm our body in a lot of different ways. Many people could try to justify medical reasons and all those kinds of things, but we know that doctors prescribe certain medicines. But when we do self-medication, sometimes it's never good for us to do things alone. And drugs, the use of drugs, smoking, inhalants, all of those kinds of things can really be harmful, especially if it is not given through a doctor's recommendation. So ultimately, we want to be experts and masters over our lives, and also good individuals who are responsible for our health and for our bodies. So you can be drug-free, but you have to remember to not follow the crowd. Let the crowd follow you as you be drug-free in today's school environment and also at home. You never know, your life may encourage other people who may be on drugs to do the right thing. So, what are some things that you can focus on? There are 3 things that I want to propose that you focus on in order to keep your mind off of drugs and on the right thing. I like to just say, get with the program of school and education. Ensure that you are focusing on your school books and that your teachers become your best friends, or those people who you rely on when you can't rely on your peers sometimes. It's okay to ask a responsible adult for instruction and direction, because sometimes they may know more than you actually may know or feel at the level that you are as middle school students. And then one day you're going to be in high school, and then we know that, hey, if you're ready for college and career, that's the next step. So you got a lot to look forward to, students, and I want to tell you drugs is not one of them. So I want you all to know your support team is here. We are looking forward to meeting and greeting you, maybe even starting a positive group that can help students become aware of what it means to be drug-free and also to be positive in their school environment.
Hola, students. Buenos dias. We are back. Welcome to SEL Session 5. But before we get started with Session 5, we have to do our recap of Session 4, Effective Communication Skills. So we'll start with our recap and we'll move on from there.
Effective communication skills is so important. We have to ensure that we have an opportunity to speak well and get assertive, as we said. One of the great things about being assertive is that you can let people feel what you're talking about without them feeling like you're coming on too aggressive or that you are being passive. So when you're talking, think about this. Are you looking them in the eye when you're talking to a person? Are you saying exactly what you want to say as though you've written it down? Some presidents, they actually write their speeches. They actually have what they call a teleprompter that tells them exactly what to say so that they never get lost and that they're able to communicate effectively in a way that will be received by everyone. Now, we know that you may not be the president, but you still have to speak up for yourself, and you still have to speak up in situations where you may not really feel like you are always that smart or competent enough to talk about it. But listen, if you think about it, you can talk about it, and you can talk about it in an assertive way.
Yes, I agree. I think one of the things I personally, I don't know about the rest of our crew, but I personally hope that you learned what type of communicator you are.
Greetings, CMS Bulldogs. We're back, but before we get started, we want to go back and recap over our last session. This is Session 6, but we're going to recap Session 5. Who can remember what Session 5 was about?
Do you remember what Session 5 was about?
I'm trying to figure out. Something. Listening.
Active listening. Yes, that was our second part to relationship building. Active listening.
Yep. And when we talk about active listening, we talk about some of the keys to actually actively listening.
Yes.
So we talk about making sure we're acknowledging what the person is saying, making sure we're paying attention and not doing other things, making sure we're focused on what's actually being said. And then the key is at the end, making sure you either paraphrase or summarize what was said before you actually start talking.
And we appreciate you guys signing in and us having those conversations and what it looks like to you. We really do always appreciate your input, and believe it or not, your input is actually helping another student. So that's why we have those live lit lessons at 10:15. So don't forget about the live lit lesson today after this particular session. So that brings up our new session. What is SEL Session 6 going to be about?
Really? Okay.
We're paying tribute to Alex Trebek.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
Yes. So, Session 6 is about that third piece of relationship building. Remember, we did bring it up, so you should know. So, before we even announce it, I want you to put it in the chat. It's that third piece to relationship building. There are 3 things we discussed that helps build relationships, and we want it to be healthy relationships. Effective communication, we covered that in SEL Session 4. Active listening, SEL Session 5. So what's that third piece?
Girl said.
Conflict resolution. Yes. So today we are here to help you build those wonderful conflict resolution skills, because we know we all need it in Conyers Middle School.